Hey, IDS 302. Welcome to Module 2, Video 1. Um, I'm so excited. This is my new iPad. It's so clear, it's almost scary. But so let's get into this. I think I'll be doing two videos as usual this module. I'm going to save some extra for when we have to actually build the surveys, and then you'll get the hang of that, of course. So again, do some housekeeping for starters. My name, it's not fun to spell. I understand. It's Feyrer. I should have changed it. It's Fair. It's not Fryer. Uh, but I appreciate the proper spelling of it. It's just one of those things, right? Uh, well, I'm not going to talk about formatting yet. I will remind everybody to what? Capitalize what? The disciplines. Now, to be clear on what I mean by that again, is a discipline is any silo of knowledge, box of knowledge, individual knowledge. It has its own set of rules, concepts, theories, nomenclature, and such. And we find them on a university. Your concentrations are disciplines. And of course, I don't have to sit here and name them. There's just so many. As academia has evolved, we've gotten away from some of the basic ones where actually everything was almost under the umbrella of philosophy to now where we've got a lot of more specific ways to go. But those are disciplines, okay? And when you use them, when you use a discipline in your writing, in referencing it as a discipline, it should be capitalized, the proper noun. Again, this kind of is not a hard, fast rule in real life, of course, but it's something where I just want to emphasize because then I know that you're talking about a discipline. Okay. So if you had real estate as a discipline and you're talking about real estate discipline, then capitalize it. If you're talking about, the real estate market and blah, 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 then, lowercase, right? Okay. So please adhere to that. I'll go back to some of the other general things. No color fonts, just keep it all black. It's fine. Um, no, don't add photos, don't add charts, graphs yet. You could do that when we get to step 5. Okay, we'll talk about that. And in terms of formatting, I understand I'm obsessive compulsive about it. I think there is discipline. I hate to use that word, I don't want to confuse you, but this means, self-discipline in terms of being a scholar, an academic, and writing that way. Okay, and I'd like you to experience that and be proud of that. I try to really communicate what I'd like, and I think I've certainly done that in terms of the step 1 submission page, where I've got like a list of maybe 15 to 20 things there that you should be watching. Okay, um, and we'll go from there. Okay, so do your best on that and be proud of the formatting. Okay, because it's part of it. It really is. I've got weird evaluation complaints here and there. It's nothing general, but when a student doesn't get that and they'll just say, wow, he's just so more, he's almost like it's more important formatting than the content. Well, that's not true. Okay, content is obviously important, but formatting is probably just as important in this course for this, because this shows me that you can do a research project paper and format it and set it up correctly, okay? Many of you in project management are familiar with any kind of organizational study or organizational real life knows that you have to have some kind of format. Otherwise, everything looks like a mess, like my apartment. No, that's not a mess. Okay. By the way, the weather's getting so nice in Phoenix. I was going to do this outside, but then you just be looking at the other side of this wall. Let's try this. Can I do this? Yeah, there it is. That's my sterling view. Anyways, okay, so let's go to Easter egg number 1. Kind of simple. Embrace formatting. Okay, embrace formatting. I don't want you to have it like just despise it. It's good. It makes your paper look good. Makes it very readable. Looks professional, and I think we're living in a society. Seinfeld. Okay, so looking at module 2, we've got some readings. Tanner chapter 6, 7, and 8, for a total of 38 pages. It's very easy reading again. It's in this text. Chapter 6 talks about basic research methods. Why? Because here we are doing research, right? Chapter 7 talks about introduction to interdisciplinary research. Why? Because that's what we're doing. Chapter 8 talks about methods of integration. Why? Because that's what we're doing. So these are very pertinent chapters to what we're doing and to adding to your toolkit and your competency in this field. Okay, so it's important that you get a lot of that down and read those. Okay. Then we got the fun thing to do. You're going to be watching a 35.5-minute video. It's called Hal Brown, The Incomplete Stories of an Irregular Guy. It's just a great video when you see who produced and directed it. Okay, it was my master's capstone project. I did that video. Hal's a friend of mine, and he moved to Hawaii a few years ago, and I miss him dearly. He texted me last night. He texts me a lot, sends me pictures, but he stays up late in Hawaii, and I go to bed early in Phoenix. So, wow, the hour difference is ridiculous. But that's my guy, Hal, and I think you hopefully will enjoy it, especially any of you who have familiarity with uh, American culture. I mean, it's right there. So I want you to watch that, but I want you to watch it in a sense because we're going to do a discussion after that. And I want you to look in the discussion, to be specific about this, I want you to look at this from an interdisciplinary point of view. And what do I mean by that? I mean that, Module 2, discussion, identifying disciplines. Okay, so here's where I'm emphasizing that interdisciplinary isn't just jack of all trades. Hey, it isn't just I multitask. Okay, we all do that and we're good at it. So let's transfer that idea into an academic setting. Interdisciplinary is integrating the disciplines. Okay, so if it's a discipline, that's what we're looking for here. So I'm going to look at, without revealing them, I said I've identified 5 main disciplines that I'm working with here. And I'm not trying to reach here. I'm not trying to dig down to some real minuscule discipline because it's featured in 10 seconds of the thing. So, but there's 5 overlay of disciplines, okay, that I used as my interdisciplinary project for my master's degree. All right, so like I guess I mentioned, so example, if there was a book and mentioned in the video, that doesn't mean literature is a valid discipline to identify, okay? So make sure it's kind of an overarching theme, okay? I would like you to consider it as you would if you had to write a brief paper on each discipline's influence on the video. So it needs to be fairly significant theme-wise, not simply mentioned, okay? For this discussion, list the disciplines that you can identify, give a brief analysis about how the discipline was applied, how you could look at in a discipline, and then respond to 2 of your peers. Okay, so again, this is more multidisciplinary than interdisciplinary, but it's the steps to say, look, I personally to develop this project, I had to look at different disciplines and utilize the scholarly aspects of them to produce this media. Okay. I'm going to give up to 40 points, unless somebody hits on all 5. I'm going to ask you for a minimum of 3, but go up to 5 if you like. I'm going to give 10 points extra credit if anybody can name the 5 that I'm thinking of, and I'll be generous on that. But I think it's kind of challenging, and then I will, next time. In a week or so, I'll tell you what I'm thinking, okay, after this assignment closes. All right, I'll do 30 points for the main post. I'm looking at a minimum of 250 words. People always ask me about that, so that's what I'm looking for. Yes, I count them, okay, and I use, copy into Word. Word tells me how many words it is, and 50 words for each response. I got a typo there. Main post and responses both due on October 28th. Should be an interesting one. So gather the family for movie night. It's rated PG, by the way. There's no nudity, thank God, but there is a a swear word in there every now and then, but that's Hal. Great guy, just the greatest guy. I call him my big brother because I don't have a big brother, and he's my big brother. And I used to go over to his house. He was in my neighborhood, and we used to sit out on a Friday night or Saturday night and drink whiskey and smoke cigars. And he was telling me his stories, and this is just a little taste of them because that's why I said it's incomplete stories of an irregular guy because he had such darn good stories. I said, because he always wanted to write a book, and I laughed because I set him up one time writing a book. It was like all in caps, you know. I was like, oh my God, formatting. But hopefully you'll enjoy it. And anybody that that maybe is in my age group or remembers the '60s or '70s or something might be interesting to them as well, because these are things that I remember seeing as a kid. And Hal's 11 years older than me, so go for it, enjoy that uh, experience. Okay, so let's. Why is that my Easter egg number 2? That shouldn't be it. Okay. So let's do Easter egg number 2. I wasn't ready for this. So let's just say, oh my God, what am I going to say? Stand by. Okay. Easter egg number 2 is I can't think of one right now. Boy, that's just so bad, right? Okay, you got quiz 2 due on November 1st. It's not multiple choice. It's not choose all that apply. It's 2 essay questions. I think they're worth 30 points apiece. Let's see if I didn't change that. 20 points each. I did drop it down. No, it says it's worth up to 60 points, and it says worth up to 20 points. So let's be consistent, huh? Not confuse the heck out of you. It is quiz 2 is worth 20 points each for each question. So get to that. That's not due until October 31st. And it's going to reference Tanner chapter 6, 7, and 8. Now, there's no time limit on this, okay? So you should get a chance to get into this. And remember, I'm saying the questions focus on your assimilation, meaning that absorb that Tanner chapter 6, 7, and 8, okay? As well as the focus of your own integrative research project for this course. Submit in Word only, all formatting applies. If you give me a giant 2 paragraphs, man, I'm going to ding you. Paragraph indent, stuff like that. Okay, so look at that. The questions are there in an attachment. It's going to be, like I said, 20 points each. And here's a tip, all right? Everybody wants tips, pro tip. Pro tip, I'm asking you to reference Tanner's chapter 6, 7, and 8. It means I'd like to see some of the verbiage from 6, 7, and 8. He's got it in there. There's terminology that tells me, hey, this student read this, they understand that concept, and they're putting it on their paper and sending it back to me in a way that is to their liking. Now, this is another try where you don't need to appear in this paper. There's no reason to appear in this paper, so no I, me, my is fine, okay? Also, put your name on all papers, of course, okay, Word. Also, I was thinking of something, talk on it. Oh, don't cite it. Do not, you can, if you want to say Tanner said this or something like that, fine. Be careful with quotes. I'm not looking for quotes, especially long quotes. You don't need a works cited for this. You do not need a works cited for this. You don't need a cover page for this or works cited for this. I will actually probably ding people who do. So just give me the answers to the quiz, okay? It's really simple. I want to flip the script a little bit, okay? Let's see. I want to talk a little bit about sources that you're going to use in step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, there's no 6. I should have talked about this earlier. Make sure they're quality sources, peer-reviewed primary sources, okay? I will ding you heavily if you have a source in your papers anywhere that ends in a pedia. So Wikipedia, okay, a Investopedia, Pedialyte, starts with pedia. Any pedia, pediatrics is okay if you're into that, okay? But those are your weak sources, okay? Chron.com, it's a newspaper in Houston. I love it. It's great. For some reason, it's a great website, and a lot of students end up using it. I don't want any Chron. I don't want any other stuff. I don't want business, well, I mean, journals are fine, so like that, but I don't want newspapers, magazines, and I don't want anything with a blog in it, okay? I don't want weak sources. I also really don't want you to use the Tanner text in these major papers, step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're using Tanner, yes, fine. We're just using the steps. So you can stay away from Tanner. You don't need to source him, cite him, okay? I consider it a kind of a cheap source. I want you to show academic rigor. Dang it! That's Easter egg number 2 should have been academic rigor. Okay, well, it is what it is. Academic rigor for your sources, very important, okay? Um, now, I don't want to encourage laziness, sloth, carelessness, etc. But I do want to minimize and mitigate the stress level that you may be under for doing this giant 25-page paper, which, if you look at the sample of final paper, it's 28 pages. Guess what? The last page is appendix. The 2 pages before that are works cited. Then you got step 5 and a lot of charts and graphs. Then you had step 4. Then step 3 is an annotated bibliography. Then you got step 2 and step 1, and you got a table of contents and a cover page, and pretty soon it adds up, and you don't even know how you did it, but boy, you did it. So don't panic. You're building it now, starting with step 1 right now, right? So you're building this paper. You can do this. It's really not rocket science that you're going to have to do. I swear, you'll love it when you get done. Okay, so 16 and a half. All right, let's see. We got that. So as it stands, I mean, the vast majority of this class is doing fabulous. If you're doing the work, you're probably doing fabulous in the class. If you've missed out on a couple things, it is what it is. You got plenty of time to get things going, stepping up your game, so to speak. But I guess I'd comment on the fact that I do think obviously there's work to be done in this class. Some might say, well, it's not a lot of work. Some might say it is a lot of work. But here's the thing. It's a lot of work if you're taking the time to do your best. If you're waiting to the last day to do these big step papers, it's going to show in your grade, okay? Because then basically you've got a course that you're working on 2 or 3 days a week minimally, but minimal. Like, I knock out the quiz in an hour. I'm going to do this video thing. It's going to cost me 35 minutes of video, 25 minutes of discussion board. That's done. And then I got step 2 next Sunday. Okay, if that's what happens, it's just not going to work out. I hope you know how to systematically build your work. To think about it in terms of maybe an outline, whatever works, you can outline it. Think about how you're going to organize it, conceptualize it. Think about where you're going to go to get sources and how you get those sources. What do those sources look like? Think about reviewing those sources. This isn't just something that you just slap together on a Sunday when it's due, if that's when it's due. Okay, and it'll show up in the grade. I'm just saying that if you score high in this, I see academic rigor. I see you, of course, there are some people that can just do this stuff, like that, and they're great at it. Most of us, though, we need to put in the time and the effort to dig through things and to find things. Use the ASU library, filter for full text online, filter for peer reviewed, and then you're pretty much going to nail it, right? People are going to ask me, how many sources would you like here? How many sources would you like here? We'll get to that, but step 1 should have some sources. If you make some claims, you need to back it up, okay? If I was writing about the weather and I said, and then month of November, Phoenix is going to get like 19 inches of snow, and you'd be reading that going, what? Who are you to say that? Where do you get that from? Per Matt Pace, weatherman at Channel 12, and this and that, he said that there's a source in there, and that's a stupid example, but it gets to the point. If you reread your work and read what you're writing and think about you making a statement that is pretty definitive, why do you think that? You weren't born thinking that. You learned it somewhere. It's somewhere in your previous classes. It's somewhere that you've gotten that, okay? And that's what I need to see in there, a citation then, okay? Again, okay, here's what I was going to say too, I think about pro tip. That's what I said. I don't want to encourage laziness, sloth, and lack of rigor. Because if it looks to me like it's really put together crap, I'm going to say it's crap. I'm not going to say that. But if you bomb a paper in this class, except for the final one, which by then you'll have 4 steps done, you shouldn't bomb anything. I do offer a redo, but that's to my discretion and it's under my rules and accountability. Own what you do, own your work, be proud of it or don't be proud of it, whatever, but own it. But if I see something where somebody just got off, way off, I'm going to say, look, here's what could be done. Not giving you any answers, maybe only give you, half credit, 2/3 credit, 70% credit, whatever. But I probably will do that. Now, again, with deadlines, remember that as the papers increase in points, and even when they're not, it's all about percentages. 10% is for a late paper 1 day, 20% for 2 days, 30% for 3 days. If you've been putting it off and you find out that you're going to be turning in subpar work, then you might want to take that late fee and kind of like pay at the window. Here, I'm paying my 10%, so I get an extra day on this. Just think about it in those terms too. I don't I don't judge. If you're late, you're late. I mean, but there's going to be requirements because I'm giving you this way in advance. Same with the research topic. Some people struggle with that because they waited the last day and they just turned in whatever. And I'm like, no, you can't just turn in whatever. There's specific things going on here. All right, so you got this. Oh, 21. Where did this thing get out of control? I went sideways. All right, I'm gonna post probably on the 29th. That's Thursday. I'll post video 2, and I will talk a lot more about step 2. I'm looking forward to seeing your step 1s, and I'll talk about step 2, and that'll do it. So Easter egg number 3, another generic one, is I got this. I want you to have those affirmations. I got this, okay? You do, you got it. All right, I'm just going to spend the next 5 minutes telling you got it. No, I'm not. I'm going to say forks up, peace, see ya.